Okay, great. Yeah, I think we are live. Yeah, welcome everyone to the to our talk and the discussion round around the why Matomo has to create a server-side tag management system, and why this is the next logical step. So to bring everyone up to speed, we Dennis has prepared some presentation where we are trying to quickly, go through the presentation and just bring everyone up to the same page. What is server-side tag management, and what are the advantages of it and why we need it, followed by a quick discussion round.
Yes.
Yes, so about the maintenance complexity, integration complexity, and all that, and what are great starting points, and what can the community contribute to bringing the server-side tag management to life. And so, I guess we will start with a quick walk through the presentation, I think Dennis will also join.
Yes,
A few
I'll tell
minutes
Ronan
later.
that Denis is still not there, so maybe you just send a message and tell Denis to come on the stage. If you want to share something on your computer, feel free to share your screen. If you don't, okay, perfect, it just came on. And then yes, you can start. We can start by explaining to everybody what's a client-side, server-side tracking. Sorry, a server-side tag manager, and we will see.
Great, sounds good. So as the presentation starts, client side is not enough in 2024. And what is client side? So that's the default setting of the tag management as it is right now, for especially for Matomo and also the other players that still support client side tag management. What is it? You integrate the tag manager on your website directly. You configure all the business logic within your tag management user interface, and all the tags, all the logic, all the variables, and everything you want to execute on the page is already is also shipped to the page. So you have the whole business logic is deployed to the page client side. So that is the state of the art client side tag management. I think Dennis is now here.
Yes. Hi, Denis.
So we just can let him sort out the microphone and everything, and he's very welcome to take over the presentation from the point where I am at the moment, as soon as his microphone works. So we will go over to the next. Dennis, there he is. Perfect.
Hi.
Hi.
Hope you hear me well.
Yes, we can hear
Perfect.
So thank you, and sorry, I was a little bit confused how to proceed. So
no worries.
Yeah, on this screen you can see how and why you need server-side tracking, as there is two requests usually from browser. One is going to server container, and one is going to vendor itself. For example, if you use Facebook or TikTok, usually you from browser send two requests, one directly to Facebook and one directly to your server container. Instead, if you use only web tracking, you send requests only to vendor itself and not send anything to the server. So why you should do it like this? Why you ever need to use server-side tracking? The main reason why people started use use server-side tracking is because deprecation of third-party cookies started, and Chrome always said to us, we will stop to use server-side cookies. Other browsers like Safari and Firefox already don't use third-party cookies, and to change approach for not using servers for third-party cookies, you need to use first-party data and send other data that available on the page to the vendors to properly attribute customers on the internet.
Denis, your microphone is shut.
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
perfect.
Impact of third-party cookies and deprecation on analytics and advertising is pretty big. If you remember, like 3 years ago, there started huge problems with Meta, and their index was very low because third-party cookies stopped working in Safari. They have lower attribution inside ads, and everybody started to scream. So that's how big impact was before people started to use server-side tracking. Also, with server-side tracking, you can enrich data, and currently it's more and more popular to use server-side tracking for post tracking, like not send value of your purchase, but send profit of your purchase. This helps advertise vendors that do advertising better optimize campaigns. And also, using enrichment capabilities, you can send data from CRM systems like user data to like you can like if you have a call and then want to track this information inside Facebook, like conversion, then it's server-side tracking allows you to send data from CRM to Facebook. Yeah, so like I describe it, mostly people use server-side tracking for creating better attribution to their ads. And here is official numbers of how PPC campaigns works with how in which percent is better for each platform. And this is possible because of ad blockers bypassing. If you use server-side tracking, that means that request comes from server to server, and impact of ad blockers, ad blockers cannot impact this. And currently, from our statistics and research in internet, we found that at least 30% of users use ad blockers, and this percent even higher for industries like gaming or some child I don't know, for example, if you sell toys for children, they also have problems with ad blockers because younger population, all of them know how to use ad blockers, and that's why this percentage is growing continuously. And let's not forget about ITP in Safari. It also caused a lot of problems. Here on the topic, I think it's more important this part because server-side tracking allows you not only send more data to vendors, but also decide like strip the data that you send to vendors and give you control of the data you send to the vendors. When let's say Facebook or Google have JavaScript file on your website, they allow it to do anything on your website and allow it to gather any information about customers on your website. With server-side tracking, you control what data is sent to vendors and provide more granular control inside your business and for your customers. Yeah, this part I little bit describe it. So with server-side tracking, you allow it to track also offline events. Currently, we see growth of tracking like calls through CRMs and sending this data through, for example, Google Tag Manager or Metacopy gateway to uh, us to vendors. And the beauty of this method, it's not like you need to download a CSV file and then upload it. It's all real time, and you starting getting better data inside the vendor very fast because it's like online and not manual work. There is a lot of regulations all around the world, and for example, in US, if you are HIPAA compliant and not allowed to send any private data about your customers to, I don't know, to Google, you need some way to control what you send. And server-side tracking is very great instrument for such use cases. So it's not only about GDPR. All around the world, there is a lot of different restrictions uh, that can be properly regulated using server-side technology. People always forget about this slide, and I almost also forget about it. But in reality, if you move your tracking from web to server, your page speed will increase significantly. And we always recommend to move all affiliate networks also to server-side tracking. Sometimes big e-commerce sites use 20 affiliate networks on a website, and all of them, each affiliate network loads own JavaScript on the side, which is create like a big load on user side, and because of this you have worse user experience, page loads longer, and if you move all of these affiliate networks, Google Ads to server, it will help you to have better user experience. So here is a table that describes what is benefits of client-side tracking and server-side tracking. If you see it, basically the server side is always better, but main downside is it always costs some money. There are currently no completely free solution that you can use for server-side tracking. And other thing is it's complicated for me it's much more complicated than web tracking, because for people currently for tracking on the web, you just put some JavaScript on the side and JavaScript do all the job for you. With server-side tracking, you need to do a lot of things on your own. So when it's time to switching to server-side tagging, I believe it's already time, and we see that more and more people switching to server-side tracking because they hear it from their friends, from some case studies, that this helps a lot with in decreasing cost per click, like decreasing spend on ads or increasing performance of ads. And from what we see, it's the first things that people think about. Like the second, you will have better attribution. And for example, if customer it's a returned customer, currently in Safari, you can only track returned customers during 7 days. And if this customer returned to you after 2 months, without server-side tracking, you will never know that this is a returned customer. So it helps in side analytics to track properly returned customers. And again, if we use offline events, it all like subscription update, it helps you to track retentions of customers inside analytic tools. And of course, control. If you need controlling your data, it's easy for you using server side. So thank you for my presentation.
Thank you, Denis, for the explanation. So I think that Peter, you had some questions to ask, to debate all together. So would you start with something?
Yeah, I think we should start with why Matomo overall need this open source solution for server-side tracking. In my opinion, the first thing why you need to have, like, why market needs this solution, because there are no any solution, like I mentioned. Currently, all server-side tracking solutions are proprietary. All of them are only paid. There are no like free solution, and I think there is pretty big niche of government, for example, that also want to use server-side tracking, but they obligated to use open source solution, or they obligated to inspect the code of the solution before they can use. So that's why I think having this solution can be good for Matomo. What do you think?
So in the same time, we had several questions in the YouTube chat. So the first one is it possible to implement server-side tagging on Matomo on-premise? So actually, with the Matomo Tag Manager, no. But using Google Tag Manager on server-side or any other server-side tag manager with custom tags, such as the state tags or the adding well tags, we can actually deploy a Matomo on server-side using Google Tag Manager. And the second question is, thank you for the question. After the presentation, we will tackle all questions asked. So it's not actually a question. So we can continue our roundtable. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, sorry, I was muted some minutes ago. Denis, thank you very much for your presentation. You already tackled some very important and interesting points. So why I want to focus on the topic, why is it so important right now for us? And we, I think, agree on that, that we need an open source alternative for the landscape of server-side tags that we currently have. So all proprietary products all cost a bit of money or are very complicated to integrate, or you need to spin up a Google Compute Engine or another virtual machine to deploy these clients, these server-side clients for the GTM, for example. Why is it so important that we get an open source alternative? Perhaps that's an open question. So either of you could answer that.
So I think, so if I take the speak at first, actually, I have many customers that ask me if it's possible to deploy Matomo as server-side, but not using the PHP SDK due to their environment or due to their advertising method, marketing method, etc. And the only way that is actually viable today is to use Google services, which can be disabled for some company or not allowed for some companies. So if we want to keep a complete ecosystem within the Matomo sphere, we have to be like in competition with Google server-side tracker and Google Tag Manager server-side. So we already saw that when Matomo had her Tag Manager live, like 5 or 6 years ago, it had a very high bump in the ecosystem. So Matomo is like seen as a complete tool, and when it doesn't have any tag manager, it's like not complete. So now the rule of the game have changed, and to be a complete tool, you have to make server-side tracking and tagging. So obviously, we have to take that way.
Yeah, perfect. So I think to add to this, I think that's there are many answers to that questions, I guess.
Yes.
So I guess as the biggest downside currently, or one of the biggest downsides currently, I am talking as a user and also as a consultant, consulting and answering questions for clients and customers. I think the data flow control is one of the central points, besides, of course, the data privacy stuff. That is always important and is always a good opener to get Matomo up and running at any client of every size. So currently, I guess we have, so the web tracking is easy. I just say it's easy. It has its complexities,
Yes.
of course, but if we now try to have, for example, screen tracking on mobile devices, we have mobile SDKs, we have perhaps some server-side SDK for offline conversions or any kind of stuff. We always are struggling very much to control data flow because we cannot run business logic on these data flow before these are tracked. So currently we have all that business logic for web tracking, and around the ecosystem, mobile apps, offline tracking, other third-party services for hydrating the data, we cannot control. The only chance we have right now is to exactly try to implement them the same as we tried to implement the logic in the client-side web tag manager, to really be able to compare these data flows. So that is really a complex thing to do. And a server-side tag manager to control data flows, to work and transform on that data flow, this would be really a game changer.
Completely. So you don't have to build your own HTTP protocol or request by your own. You can have like basic UI. But what would make the difference if that the tag manager had several tags to be able to track, like for Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, obviously Matomo, but to be open to the other solutions that actually exist, because most of the companies don't only use Matomo, they also have advertising strategy. And if we want to migrate our customer to server-side tag management, we have to allow all the strategy to be implemented, such as campaign tracking, advertising tracking, etc. So it's not a tiny part of the work.
Yeah, and I only can add that idea for like use existing infrastructure for same like in Matomo infrastructure for server-side tracking is great, because I think it's really will help with adoption of this solution, because one of the struggles currently for server-side tracking, if you even go with server-side Google Tag Manager, you still need some servers to run it. And with Matomo, it's much easier because it's like write it on PHP. And if this server-side tracking solution also will be on it, it will be much easier to people to adopt it than now.
Sure, yeah, that's a fair point. So the especially for on-premise installs, the infrastructure is already there.
Yes.
You don't need some fancy DNS stuff for first-party mode or something like that. It is everything that we need is there, and can be used for server-side tracking. So what do you both think are the implications on consent management? So we just assume we have someone using the client-side tag manager for now, with some implementations of let's say Facebook conversion pixels, Google Ads, something like that. What are the direct implications for such a client or such a user switching to a potential future server-side solution?
So do you mean like a migration script in order to reconfigure, to help them migrate to the server-side tag manager potentially?
And also, yeah, especially what has to be changed in the consent management. Can it be the same as it was before? Can we get rid of some consents? for the tracking, or is it getting easier to consent manage on the page with the server-side tag per se, or how would this transition phase look like?
So usually there is two options. First option, if your customer don't give it you consent to track you, you will not send this information to server side. So for example, if somebody log in to your site, click reject, then you not send any hints to server. That's first option. The second option is what Google used. If a person reject consent, you still send hit to server, but already with the stripped data. So there are no any personal data in this request. So there are no like additional things you need to do usually with consent if you use server-side tracking.
Great. Yes, thank you. And also, Dennis, I think you also mentioned that in the presentation already, when we had the comparison matrix between the different implementation methods. I think the last two rows, had already opened the topic for that. The complexity of integration, the complexity of maintaining such a server-side setup, and the complexity of extending such a setup. If you compared that to a client-side setup, because I'm just looking at that topic from a client perspective or from a user perspective. Having a company with a marketing department with a certain set of skills, and people thinking about, do I have to get someone really just focusing on that topic, or can my existing marketing team, not too technical perhaps, can they take care of that setup? Can they extend it? Can they maintain it? And can they initially integrate it? What do you guys think of these three issues?
So there are questions in the chat. In the meantime, and in the same topic. So the first one is, do you know why is it not possible to use server-side tracking using Matomo Tag Manager? Is it because of lack of access to Google Cloud Platform, or there are other reasons? So to respond to this question, there are many reasons. So you can use Matomo in server-side tracking on Google Tag Manager, but it's not. But you can't deploy another tag manager from the Google Tag Manager initially. But you can aujourd'hui. I'm sorry, I'm just reading back the question. Yes, you can deploy Matomo in a Google Cloud platform. So do you know why it's impossible to use server-side tracking? But the tag manager of Matomo isn't a server-side tag manager, so it won't lead anywhere if you do this. You won't have more feature this way. I'm looking for the question. Other question is, because you use server-side tracking and Matomo Tag Manager via reverse proxy installed on the website server. You can Tag Manager on reverse proxy, but this is not the same way as server-side tracking. So it's not the same workflow of data. It's not the same way of managing data. So actually, it will just be a transfer of data through a proxy, which leads to no server-side tracking. It's not the same thing. Okay, there is no more question. I think I answered somebody, but I know that my English is pretty bad. But I hope that somebody answered that. Okay. So Peter, Denis, do you have some answer to the question that Peter just said before?
I think there are no good answer to these questions because it depends on the team. We see different. If you are very familiar with web tracking, then probably server-side tracking for you will be not that hard. if for you web tracking is just to put web pixel on the site and everything else done by platform, probably it will be hard for you to implement server-side tracking. Overall, I think the problem exists that people don't know how to use server-side tracking, and I think at this moment there is enough already education materials for everybody on how to use server-side tracking, how to set up each platform. So there only the person only need to have willing to implement server-side tracking, and then like with videos, tutorials, or blog like articles, how-tos, you can do server-side tracking. But overall, you need to be pretty technical person to do proper debug of server-side tracking.
I think it depends of why. So today, to deploy server-side tracking, we have to build up a Google Cloud Platform, installing Proxify, do some DNS stuff. But if it's just embed into a brand new Matomo version, as you update to Matomo v6, and now you can create a web container, but server-side container, not web, sorry, a server-side container. It will be more easy to do. And if we have like proper server-side template tags, it could be, and it could still be easy to figure it out with this feature. I don't think it could be very, very difficult, because the difficulty in Google Tag Manager is to setting up the environment, which you have to make your own. But with Matomo, your environment is already set. So if it comes with an update, I think we have like a lower step than if you use Google Tag Manager to update how people track their websites. This is my opinion, obviously.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, I definitely agree on both of your opinions. Naturally, from my experience and my understanding, also there are so many different sets of marketing teams. The one of the marketing teams is more technical. The other is more business intelligence focused. The other is more for reach and using reach, creating affiliate networks and all Google ads and all that paid search stuff. So there will be challenges for sure, but I guess as you already said, Denis, there is so much stuff out there in the meanwhile concerning the server-side stuff. It must be clear that yeah, teams maybe have to code a bit more if you cannot need a already existing template for something. But yeah, that brings me to the next topic to talk about or to discuss. What do you think? So just imagine we have a wish list that we can directly pass to the developers from Matomo.
Okay, Christmas.
Yes, exactly. For the future or initial user experience and creating a quick adoption rate for server-side tag management, what do you think would be the most important parts that have to be, I think, exaggerated, perfectly integrated from day one, and how can we implement or integrate the community contributions at its best, and how can we leverage these contributions at its best?
Okay, I think one of the most painful usage of the tag manager today in Matomo, not for server-side, but for the actual tag manager, that should be fixed and not reproduced if we have an update to the server-side tag manager, is the lack of compatibility with actual solutions. So building a tag template is not very difficult. So I think that not a rockstar developer can do it when they just iterate the subject. And what is making Google Tag Manager super powerful is the ability to get many tons of tags pre-built for marketing teams that don't want to touch code. Okay, so if you want to successfully launch a new feature or new version of the Tag Manager, you have to prepare the field to prepare so many default server-side tags template in order to simplify the migration from marketing teams without bothering developer teams in their own company. I think this is the main thing we have to do.
I am agree that templates the main feature that Matomo need, but I more think it's like it's not needed for Matomo to develop integrations with Facebook, TikTok. It's better to have rich documentation or rich API for developing this integration and allow customers build them, because again, Google didn't build any template. They built a template only for GA4 and Google Ads. So I think in this with Matomo it should be the same, like have only Matomo template and allow other to develop these integrations easily. Also, from what I see how users work with Matomo, how they use it, usually it's very privacy related, and the Google Tag Manager not ideal solution if you are very privacy focused, in my opinion, because currently it's pretty hard to monitor where requests are sent from SGDM. So in my opinion, it also very important for Matomo to have logs of incoming request and logs of outgoing request. In this case, auditors of like ISO certificates, I don't know, any auditor will be, or security auditor will be able to check what exactly sent, if there are no like any additional information that you don't want to send to vendor. So I think besides templates, it's very important to have very strict login functionality. And in my opinion, there is a lack of proper login inside server-side GDM and other solutions.
So it leads to building a good documentation for developers in order to create their own tags, and providing a separate marketplace in order to just install tags, but not by installing plugins, I guess. So a marketplace that will be available also in Matomo Cloud, such as what Google Tag Manager did with their own marketplace, I guess. Yes, this is a really important, yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think I have to again agree absolutely on that, because one of the biggest pain points in the current client-side implementation, and then Ronan, you already did the extended version of the Tag Manager with adding some tags and functionality where it was really lacking. This could be a very important part, to have a really not independent, but perhaps from the other marketplace, adjacent small marketplace for tags and templates. And these tags and templates have to be really be maintained by their given maintainers, because mostly these tags that we have currently in the client-side Tag Manager implementation are totally outdated. So
Yes,
functionality
clearly.
is not there anymore. Nobody is really taking care of that, and that should not sound offending or something like that, but it is just not manageable for a centralized small team of developers or a small maintainer to really maintain all that services, because mostly you as one user or one maintainer, you do not have all these services offered in active maintenance or in active usage. So you would have to really weekly dive through all the documentations of all the tags and everything. You cannot manage that. So it only makes sense to really have contributors having this given tag in such active usage, and really be up to date how it is implemented. And yeah, that would be also from my standpoint. Would be really a leverage.
To complete with what you just say, for the plugin I've built, I add tags every time a customer asks me for implementing things or not. So instead of using custom HTML, because it's the fastest way, I just take time to create a template tag to share for the community. So this is one of the way, but as you just say, I'm not active at it. So it's my customer that is active with this product. So it's pretty hard to maintain. But what's make very hard to maintain is because the tag manager and the plugin development services about Matomo don't handle versioning system. So if you change a tag in the tag manager, it breaks the container. If you change the name of a tag, if you change a tag definition, if you change a field in the tag manager, it breaks the container. So as a plugin developer, you can't update your tag, or you just have the way to update tiny things. But if you change the core of a tag, it breaks all the containers of your customer that use the previous tag. So this is a very, very problematic situation, and that this have to be updated. We should be able to send new version and ask our customers to update or not the tag depending on their opinion. But actually in Matomo, we can't do that. So we are in a tricky situation.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. So not to break setups through auto updates or modifications or anything like that.
Yep.
Perhaps a user has customized the setup or based on the current implementation, and then we come with the update and everything is breaking. And that also plays into what Denis already said. We need a better debugging and data flow view, so that we are warned by, for example, server errors from the destination services where we send data to from the server-side tag manager, or perhaps structural errors or any form errors, is anything like that from the data sources that we are pulling data from. So could be the website, the web container, could be mobile apps, could be everything. Small and short, quick statistics of how many requests did we receive today by the mobile app connector, something like that. This would be absolutely fantastic. Currently, of course, with the client-side container, it's not possible because we serve it directly as a file from the server. So having some statistics on that would require to throw it through a gateway or proxy or something like that, but that's tricky, and that also costs some server performance. If we can manage that with the server-side container, that's definitely part of the wish list. I would agree on that.
Clearly. Okay.
A next idea for the server-side tag management, and perhaps also a bit for the wish list, could be what do you think, apart from web tracking with Matomo, but just seen as an extension or as a completion of the Matomo ecosystem and making Matomo more innovative, more modern, and more more to keep up with the competitors and general competition. What do you think could be the server-side tag management also be used for? If you also think of customer data platforms and customer relationship management solutions and all customer engagement solutions, personalized content and all that. Do you have clients and customers using services leveraging exactly these stuff that could also be something that could be done by the Matomo server-side tag management? Or do we have experience in this direction?
Did by server-side tag manager? Actually not, because I have customers that have server-side tracking by Google Tag Manager on server-side, but not directly connected to CRM or any kind of third-party data. And if they had third-party data, they are not sending them to Matomo. They are collecting them within data locating storage like BigQuery, Power BI, etc. And we are mixing data after collection and not within Matomo. So we are extracting data from Matomo, extracting data from CRM, and building up reports within BI tools, but not directly from the tag manager. So this could be a great feature, but actually it's made by the other way. So we have other tools to make that. But grouping all of them into Matomo could be a great idea. But actually, no, I don't have many things about that. But maybe Denis?
Yeah, I show like currently we hear more from clients that they want to see and compare data that they send it to vendors. For example, you send 10 purchases to Google Analytics, 10 purchases to Facebook, and 10 to TikTok. And in all these three systems, you have different numbers. And you can check incoming requests. Their incoming was only 10 requests, everything fine. So to your HDTN, for example, was comment 10 purchases, but it's nothing. What was sent? There people not track. There are no possibility to check what was sent to these platforms and what status is there. So I think it will be great to have inside Matomo some analytics, not only about gather data, but analytics about data that was sent further. And this can be interesting for people because they can analyze like how many events were sent to Facebook without email or username or click ID or something. And this will help them to make better tracking.
Compare HTTP logs from the server-side tracking to the data provided by third-party tools and adjusting the gap between what you measure and what they are providing you into their UI, right?
Yeah. So idea is to like see what happening exactly and like what data exactly was sent and some analytics about this data.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly also one of my beloved features of another solution, so that you can exactly see to which destination, to which data destination you send which data. You have a short range of in a short time interval of a search functionality where you can look for certain requests that has been sent to certain destinations. You can really nicely debug. You have functionality for working a bit JavaScript on those logs and search and transform those things before these get sent to the destination service. And also, I think one of the great things would be some kind of deduplication of events and cleaning up data. Because that's also something, one of the biggest challenges of our time in web analytics, at least, is the data quality. Deduplicate data, having data that has some certain quality in terms of precision and completeness. I read also from setups, or a lot of people seem to set up the server-side tagging alongside with the JavaScript tracking, to have really both flows running. Of course, the deduplication seems to be important for that part. Did you also see those setups, or do you have experience with those setups?
With both tracking?
Yeah.
Is Denis?
I can say that from my experience, most of the customers use these setups because it's officially recommended by vendors. And that's why people like do how vendors recommend and how their how-tos look like. And mostly it's because still in Google Chrome, third-party cookie working, and vendors want to have information from third-party cookies.
Yes, that's why it's recommended in the document, in the Google official documentation. So when they talk about server-side tracking, they also recommend to deploy client-side tracking and have like dedupe within the tracker. So this is one of the best way you can track things. Of course, yes. So server-side tag manager shouldn't replace the web container. We should have both and deploy both. And when we are in a GDPR context, when user decline cookies, we should skip the front end or part of the front end, but be sure that data accuracy will stay good within the server-side tag manager, I guess.
Thank you very much. So I guess
you.
there are not really fundamental questions for now to be solved in the last
Yes, and
in a few
it's
minutes.
no time remaining.
So I guess I have a quick look at the chat if something is there. There is a question about the TDDG, which was the former TTDSG in Germany, which is the basically the e-privacy regulation, I guess, in German legislation. But we cannot really, so I'm not sure about that, so I cannot really answer that. That's probably something that we, that please ask in the forum. I guess there will be someone who can answer that, but I did not have a look at the new and changes in the TDDG. It's that's some special stuff, I guess. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Ronan, and thank you, Denis, for everything, for the presentation and your opinions on that very important topic. I hope that the developers heard, especially when we formulated our wish list.
Yes.
Perhaps this will bring everything to life a bit more quick. But yeah, we definitely agree on that. This will be a substantial thing to develop, and this will be not be ready next month as a Christmas present. But well, we will be surprised perhaps next year, sometimes next year in an MVP version somehow, something like that. So everyone who wants some server-side tracking, stay tuned. I hope that we get something on the street pretty fast. So
Thank you
Ronan,
so much.
thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Ronan and Dennis.
Thank
Yes,
you.
see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.